Hello everyone, this is Zoltar and welcome back to our third Offworld trading company Expansive campaign. Last time we did very well, ending with a stock price above our two opponents, who it looks like have both managed to land... No, maybe we were passed by the scavenger at some point. Omega Espionage Corps, that might have been him. In any case, look, we're down in 6th place, but I'm not too worried about it. It's only by about 21 cents of stock price. There's still a lot of gameplay left to do. We're just going to keep on trucking along. Now, for our labor pool, we don't have that many funds, not quite enough to afford a hydroponic farm, unfortunately, or a glass furnace, both of which might be quite valuable, but enough to go ahead and grab up this metal mine engineer, which I see as quite valuable, and I think that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. This bumps our iron production up to the normal levels, 100% production, having these 3 engineers, as we are on the internal build, where that's the new norm for the number of engineers you require. And we're just going to see if we can make this work. Now we can maybe commit a little bit fewer tiles to iron, a little bit more to steel, hopefully push through those upgrades a bit faster. Now, we did get the reward for winning last time, which means we start the game with a power surge now. Let's check and see what we can do for this round's missions, though. We can unlock Expansive, that sounds kind of useless. We can get a free solar panel, that could actually be quite useful as we do make use of solar power. And that's also an extra claim. So we can go after Dynamite, go after unlocking Expansive, or go after this free solar panel. I am very heavily leaning toward the solar panel. Now this does mean we're going up against Delta Research Corps, who has done reasonably well. They're a scientific player who has a free wind turbine and gets chem shipments when upgrading headquarters. So that's going to be very nice for them potentially in pushing through to that late game and being able to throw down some of those high-level buildings that I believe require chemicals, as I believe that's the leisure buildings, actually. So that's very interesting. They might have very easy access to those leisure buildings. And then we're also up against Sigma Production Corps, which is just an Expansive corporation. They didn't win their last round. They have no extra benefits. And they're just a little bit worse than we are with a slightly higher stock price for whatever reason. I'm still not entirely sold on how stock works. Some of it's money, some of it's structures, some of it's labor, which apparently they do more labor than we do at this point. Maybe they've managed to hire on a bit additional labor. We can even check the results from last round and see exactly how things panned out. You can see our map awarded us 500,000 total. Their map, one of them awarded 650,000, and one of them awarded 400,000, which are far more reasonable levels than we see live, in my opinion. But all that said, let's go ahead and jump into this free solar panel mission. Okay.
Medium levels of water found.
Looks like it might be a little bit of a smaller map this time, and a fair amount of it cut off. So we're just going to be looking for something that's kind of workable territory in terms of iron.
High levels of aluminum
And we'll
found.
probably just drop on it the moment we see it. Anything that actually can work. Let's hope there's some in this area.
Levels of iron
Well, high
found.
iron, that's a good start. Thankfully we did upgrade our metal mines. Oh, here we go. Well, I mean, that's usable. It's not great, but we can get 3 steel mills running off of it. Check around just a little more.
High levels of
Yeah, that's water.
found.
Okay. We'll see if we can make this work.
Preliminary scans agree this is a great primary location
there.
for our new investment.
Oh, actually,
You
hold
can
on.
count on us.
Nope, don't take it. Ah, we took it already. Shoot. Alright, then we'll just go ahead and get these down.
Founded.
I didn't see this high iron here, and hopefully that's not iron, because that would just be depressing. And we're going to go after this high water, because late game I expect the water to be very important. And so we're hoping we'll be able to just make that work reasonably well. We can go ahead and buy some housing. I'm fairly comfortable with that. And then we'll just spend everything else we have, making sure we've got the steel we need in the immediate future, and then we'll move into steel production at HQ level 2, like usual. The scientific having a lot of trouble finding good places to put his steel mills, which is exactly the way we want him to be. Not having a good time. Let's go ahead and get this water rolling in. It's a little bit safer. Buy the steel back up, and everything just needs to go into buying steel for the moment. And then we can move toward, you know, buying aluminum or waiting on the aluminum to come on in. Maybe we'll spend some iron down. We'll buy up steel, but we've already got this housing purchased, which maybe housing wasn't the best thing to purchase because it didn't start the colony growing right away, but it meant we got that super, super cheap, in this case, $500 stock. So that was fantastic, and all we had to spend on that was aluminum, which we've got rolling in anyway, and we don't need necessarily in the immediate future. Pirates are fantastic. They're steel to steel, so it's exactly the kind of thing we're going to be looking for. We'll go up to like 10,000 or so for these. 10,000's a lot better. Thankfully, the computer not driving these to absolute ridiculous levels anymore. So that's very nice indeed. Alright, we can steal aluminum and steel, or we can just try and go after just steel. I think we'll try and do the just steel thing. We don't really need this aluminum from over here, so... Well, actually, let's do both. Usually steel gets a
those filthy bandits.
little cheap in these runs these days. And I'm tempted... I think we'll just go 3 steel mills. Just 3 for now. It's not good steel production, but it's tolerable. And then after that, we can either claim, like another water tile here, we can go after some silicon. Might be a good idea. I think we're going to go for the silicon.
Is online.
Just grab that up. We've got a power surge in case we want it later, and access to the black market right now. Already $6,000 for the new claim. As per usual, the computers grabbed up those other new claims very, very quickly and made it basically impossible for us to get one easily. So we're probably just not going to worry about it, frankly. Would be good to push for this leisure building if we can pull it off. It's not that expensive.
Colony expanded.
Certainly something doable, so I think we're just going to do it. That way the colony can keep growing, and hopefully we can make more money by the end of all of this. This should look very similar to what we did last time, kind of just following the formula because we don't have a lot of money to actually expand with at this point, and so we just kind of have to go with the flow. Mission 2 gonna typically look very, very much like Mission 1, I think. Only difference being that our metal mines are a little bit better, and so we can keep our steel mills full of iron a little bit more easily. Alright, let's go ahead and get that steel cell going, buy some glass. Just the 40. Not too worried about glass, just want to make sure I have enough for an upgrade. And instead of buying into the colony for the moment, we are going to go ahead and push for that upgrade, and then we'll focus on the colony afterward. Plundered some aluminum, it's not really what I'm after. The steel mill is turned off, unfortunately. Not what you want. And we probably could have been more patient and gone after this food, but that's life. Our opponent already has some reactors down, some rather efficient reactors. These guys both have massive numbers of engineers, it feels like computers almost always feel like they do. And so their production is going to be quite efficient. You can see this guy's running at 100% farms and 100% reactors. This guy's running on 100% reactors and 100% steel. Just things to watch out for.
Worker morale is at
upgrade.
an all-time high, thanks to the infrastructure boost you approved. We'll be able to ship more industries off Earth
Never
in
got
no
the quarry
time.
down, let's do that. Don't really care about a geothermal plant. These guys can take this debt, that's fine. I have solar power. I'm comfortable with that, and we'll just stick to it.
38.
Yeah. Computers still do this for the engineers, which is a bit more reasonable, but really 62,000 for power, 78,000 for power, 94,000. This still happens, and I'm not entirely sure why. What would drive the computer to think a geothermal plant engineer, when they didn't have one already, could possibly be worth $94,000, but that's their prerogative. If they want to pay that much, they can. Alright, we're really looking for a new claim at this point, so we can get down plenty of power production. And at that point, we'll kind of be looking to get more leisure buildings bought up so we can focus on that water consumption, especially because this guy, he does have water coming in, but he's spending it as well. This guy, probably not going to be bringing in water at all. He only has 1 water pump engineer, very, very difficult for him to do. And that's pretty fantastic for us. So we're really just going to be pushing for this leisure building and for this new claim as our next objectives. We could even, to help ourselves out a bit, go ahead and use this power surge. Unfortunately, he literally just expanded. Bad timing, but that's more or less the way it is. Okay, there we go. Get a little more power down. That should be plenty of power so that we're no longer running a short on power. Not a particularly large surplus, but enough to make a difference is going to be the basic goal. We've got silicon coming in, which is fantastic because we drove up the price on silicon. Oh, glass shortage is a huge problem. We need to make sure to buy into that so that we have plenty to hopefully move into farms in addition to upgrading. That's kind of an issue. We might need to make glass at this point based on that. Electrolysis not doing too great. Partially because this guy already had some down for a fair amount of time. I was hoping shutting it down would help, but it hasn't so far. And how are those glass furnaces doing? See, still net revenue minus 42 for just one because I produce glass at half efficiency. But it could still be worthwhile, maybe, to get some glass down. Let's get that leisure building. Keep that colony growing. And then we really need to look at getting an upgrade so we can get to farms before long. Steel's still doing all right, mostly losing money in power. Electrolysis, almost tempted to scrap in favor of power. I think I might do it. This guy's got farms down, that sucks for us. And of course we get underground nuked. Where is it? It's on our silicon. Fantastic. Never mind on the glass for a while, I suppose. Okay. Well, electrolysis is to the point of doing poorly. So I think we are just going to go ahead and make this power transition. It's nighttime, unfortunately. Maybe we can start with glass.
Worker mortality is at an all-time high, thanks to the infrastructure boost you approved. We'll
get another quarry. Solar panel engineer, actually maybe okay. These guys are probably going to drive the price to such an insane amount that it's not actually worthwhile, though. Computers typically seem to do that.
46,000.
There we go. Plenty of glass furnaces down. Everything else probably going to go into solar panels immediately, and we'll figure out what we can do from there. Since power's doing quite nicely.
Let this be a lesson.
These guys not putting down a lot of it at all.
And we screw with you.
Which is very nice for us. Just this geotherm here, which is only making 1 power a second, by the way, which is why that was ridiculous to go that hard on a geotherm plant. And then this wind turbine, and then this wind turbine. And none of those are particularly effective either. These guys do not have a lot of power engineers at all, and they went for wind. So that's very nice for us. Very, very nice. How's the glass doing? $15. Yeah, the side one's still not doing well. We can turn them off, though. And just leave the middle ones active and try and make money off of that for the time being. Not as much as I was hoping for. Not as much as I was hoping for, but it's very difficult to tell exactly how well they'll do, especially because a significant amount of that is actually power costs, which can't really be counted, if we're honest. Do that. Go ahead and get this nice little goon squad down. Get these leisure facilities built if we can. There we are. Whoa, this has to be losing us money now. Oh yeah, those are losing us money like crazy. That didn't last long. Silicon jumped up to $80 for whatever reason, buy into the food shortage. And I'm wondering if we can just go ahead and get some farms down.
Expansive colony expanded.
Farms don't cost us too much right now. Yeah. Should be doable. Should be doable to go ahead and move these into farms. Because Silicon's price went completely nuts. That's just what it looks like we'll have to do. Go ahead and get rid of these. Into the food. Power, thankfully, paying off our debt very effectively. Should start making us money before long, and hopefully we can use our black market to kind of keep this power offline for a while and make sure it's not getting in our way too much. Could also try... there would be a silicon surplus immediately as I... Whatever. Do this, make sure our power stays strong if we can, for a little while longer. And buy another housing facility. And then more leisure buildings. Because, man, do we have money at this point. It's the strength of power. I mean, $340 a second. As long as we're actually making money off of that, it's insanely good. Like, our farms nowhere near that good. Even though food's quite expensive. Our farms are just nowhere near that good. An upgrade does sound kind of nice, so I think that's what I'm going to aim for in the immediate future. And after that, we'll focus on... I don't know why I sold off aluminum if I want an upgrade. Nope, silicon short. Let's just go ahead and commit fully into that. And then we'll go for the upgrade. Because I don't think these guys have a whole lot of silicon production. We've got just 0.75 here. All of that's going into this glass furnace, basically, if the glass furnace is online. Then we've got 1 here. So buying into the short was fairly safe. We're at 103,000. Sorry, 103. Yeah, $103,000. That's fantastic for us. This guy needs to be knocked down a peg or 3. So we're actually going to buy another power surge for him once these come back online, just to make sure they're not causing too much of a problem. And then we're going to get a bunch of water pumps. Unfortunately, we got disrupted here by this, so we'll need to mutiny that in order to make good use of all these, but that's entirely doable. 3 claims left. What do we want to do with them? We could put down another farm. Could put down another steel mill. Could be quite nice. Another aluminum mine also might not be a bad idea. Aluminum up at $71. Might keep going up as people buy housing.
Trying to break our stuff.
In particular. And then, whoa, food shortage again. Well, these aren't making much money, but the food shortage will help. And with any luck, the water pumps will work out as well. Another leisure building. See, the water's all doing quite nicely. $461 on that particular water pump. Exactly the kind of thing we want to see. There's a carbon shortage as well. We'll buy into that a fair amount. 600 seems like a reasonable amount of carbon to buy. And how's the food doing? $8. Fantastic. Let's get a mutiny going here. Power surge going. Yeah, we'll just... why can't I power surge myself? It's so frustrating. Alright, well that wasn't the worst power surge ever. And we could even try and shut down his... Well, yep, he's got it goon squatted. But we shut down a little bit of his water income at least. So that's something. Carbon short went quite nicely. We have a ridiculous amount of money again and 1 extra claim. Steel's doing alright. Glass might do better. But water, once again, look at this water price. Look at how ridiculous this is, even with the sheer amount of water we're making. Absolutely where we want things to be when we can bring in water quite effectively. It keeps the colony from growing, which is the big downside to it, because maybe it means less money overall, but it does mean more of it going to us at least, as long as we're the ones getting the major advantage off of it. So I'm not too concerned. Just not too concerned about it. Let's keep buying into housing and leisure. All right.
Black market is online.
That's the colony completely bought up as much as it possibly can be. How's this food doing? It needs to get turned off. We are bringing in a fair amount of water per second, but unfortunately, because this is a scientific player, if we're going to mutiny him, we basically have to just continually focus our black market that direction. This is a fantastic amount of money coming in based on water, but it is kind of restricting us in its own way. I have no idea what to do with this last claim. Got a water pump blown up. That makes sense. Computers like to use dynamite on those things for whatever reason. Water still holding its price fairly well. Finally getting to the point where maybe I can turn some of these farms online again. And it might also be useful to move these steel mills into reactors if water is going to keep heading on this downward trend. Power, once again, still absolutely wonderful. Could even just throw down one last solar panel. Although, well, this guy's got all kinds of power going on. And this guy's farms, well, they're not really doing a whole lot for him, so I'm not worrying about it too much. Yeah, $76 a second on all that wind power. Good for you, I guess. Let's get out of these steel mills and go ahead and make that move into reactors. Assuming we can keep up our water mutinies. The repair drone is out on its way. It's just taking a while to get there. And let's go ahead and dump a fair amount of money into buying colony stock. And everything else can go into all this water production and food production and everything else to try and keep these prices from going too out of control to the point where the colony is just not growing at all. And now we're probably just mostly sitting and waiting. There's not much else to do. Besides that, we got to repair this water pump again. Quite frustrating having so much of that focused on us. But that's to be expected. We are doing quite well, and at least they aren't counter-mutinying the one we care about, so it's not that big a deal at the end of the day. Aluminum, thank you for making me way more money than you ever should have. We'll buy into that shortage again.
Scientific colony expanded.
Our farm's probably not doing so hot anymore. Let's turn at least those off. Oh, yep, all of them off. Unfortunate, but you know what? We're doing what we can with water. It's just difficult. It's just difficult. Oh, and we're frozen out. That's a big deal. That's most of our income shut down, unfortunately, let's be honest. The reactors are doing well because they're reactors and that's what they do. But the farm's not so much. And we'll need to keep a very close eye on these reactors to make sure they stay doing well, because there's no guarantee that they will. Let's get out of this power production. Power shouldn't be too much of an issue for the duration of the game. And we can move into steel mills. Another option, actually, instead of steel mills. Steel mills look nice, but we'll try some glass furnaces just to see if we can make it work. Alright. Keep buying colony stock. No reason to stop as far as I can tell. The reactor's still making money,
Let this
nowhere
be a
near as much as they
lesson
were a
to you.
moment ago.
Screw with us.
With all of our
Only
water
screw
getting
with
frozen
you.
out, but at least that means
Let this be a
nobody's
lesson
making
to
money.
you all.
So
Screw
even if
with
the colony's
us.
not going to
Only
grow,
screw with you.
at least nobody else is getting any kind of benefit out of it.
The black market
Alright,
is
reactors, are you
online.
dead yet? Oh yeah, you're super dead at this point, basically. Get you turned offline. Farms turned offline. Glass doing well. Yeah, $70 isn't bad for glass at all for us, especially considering we only have the one glass engineer. And hopefully this will sustain itself through the rest of the game where it matters. Could even consider just transitioning out of these farms, which I doubt will ever be profitable again this game, and going ahead and going into the steel here. Chem shortage that we'll go ahead and buy into. See if we can make a fair amount of money off that. Thankfully, this guy getting attacked right here on his water. Exactly the kind of thing we wanted to see out of the scientific player. Exactly the kind of thing we were hoping for. And let's go ahead and spend this last little bit on dynamite to blow it up. I'll be surprised if it's active again at all this game. Look at this water price. This is what I'm talking about. This is what the colony can do these days. Especially if you're actually focusing EMP on those production sources, which they are, obviously. And I'm not defending them this game for whatever reason. You can get a lot done. You can get a lot done. Let's get rid of these. We can get back into power for a moment, but it's not even worthwhile. We'll just spend everything on this food shortage. And try and use this for the last little bit of money we're going to make this game.
Scientific colony expanded.
These are bad at this point. The steel mill's still doing well. Last little bit of water's trickling in. Make sure to sell that down. Okay. There we go. Sell down everything. We'll go ahead and pay off the debt. Just to have zero. It's nice to have no debt. And yeah, buy the last little bit in the colony stock. Now, I don't know if our funds transfer out of this scenario. I assume they don't, because in my opinion,
The black market
that would be
is
idiotic.
online.
But I'm not actually sure. And I haven't been keeping track well enough to actually know 100%. $400 water. There we go. 31 and 14 is what we're going to end that at. Thank you, water. You're ridiculous. Our stock price doing quite nicely. Resources. Hey, we sold 345,000 in water. More of that than in anything else. The leisure building, it's an interesting thing to complain about, but I'm kind of off-put by this idea of having housing, which consumes life support, and that's totally understandable, right? But then you have leisure, which consumes power and water, and then I think you have a building that consumes electronics and a building that consumes chems for the lab and the office, or the office and the lab, respectively, if you want to make it a little bit easier. But then this leisure building consumes water, and I kind of get that, and power, and I get that from a sensibility standpoint where, okay, you use water and power, and that's like just providing a living area for people to relax in, that kind of thing. But I keep wondering if we're going to have these tier 3 resources, right, of glass, electronics, and chems, why do 2 of the buildings consume those? And then the last one consumes primarily this base resource that you pull out of the ground. It's odd to me. It's odd to me, is all. And I'm not sure about it. It's interesting being able to drive water that high, but is it really... I don't know if it's the best thing for that to be water, if that makes sense. Maybe you guys can chime in the comments section or something. I've always wondered, or at least I've wondered for the past 3 days, if it would be better at this point, now that it seems like the consumption really, really matters for driving the prices around, if it would be better for people to mostly be playing with those 3 end-game resources. I don't know. For sure, but it creates a really interesting scenario of, I have a late-game resource that I'm going to be good at. I'm a scientist. I'm going to be good at making chems. I'm a robot. I'm going to be good at making electronics. Maybe I'm a scavenger. I'm going to be good at making electronics because I have carbon, or I can choose chems because I have access to carbon. And then like Expansive is like, well, it just makes sense for me to move into glass. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got solar panels. I've got silicon coming in. I'm going to make that glass move. But glass doesn't get consumed. So you don't really make glass in the same way that you make chems and electronics. You make water instead, but you're using a massive amount of water already. It's weird, guys. It's weird to me. I've been wondering if it would be better if it was glass instead of water for that building, primarily. That's it, though. That was an interesting little episode. You guys can totally believe me now when I say that water prices can go absolutely insane in these games now. And I really kind of enjoy it because it's just that ridiculous. We're going to keep continuing with this campaign. We did very well this time. I'm excited to see how much income we got, how much income everybody else got, things like that. But that's not for right now. So we're just going to wrap it up and say thank you everyone for watching. And I'll see you next time.